Look at all this, not a hope of getting through there. That's supposed to be our way out. I can't get through it in the daytime.
I'm here in Canary Wharf to stay in a hotel that has so many problems, our fire safety expert does not want to stay the night. So I'm going to give it a try. This is the International Hotel. It's a 13-storey business hotel right in the centre of glitzy Canary Wharf. It's not some independent mom and pop bed and breakfast. In fact, it's owned by a company that we recently dubbed the worst hotel chain in the country for the 9th year running. It's Britannia Hotels. Right, I'm going to have a bit of a snoop around and find some of the risks that our fire safety expert identified when he visited last time.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a fire escape route. Big fire escape sign there. No way through. So if you're in one of these rooms, what are you supposed to do? So we made it past that fire escape hurdle. We get to the staircase and look at all this, not a hope of getting through there. That's supposed to be our way out. I can't get through it in the daytime. I don't think I should be able to access all of this. Is that open? That's not great. Door is just wedged open. We're up on the 11th floor. This is an emergency exit. It should be closed and, as it says, alarmed. But actually, easy to open with a massive drop on the other side. Not a fire safety issue, definitely a safety issue. Same again on this side, but here, looks like there's been a leak through the ceiling. Not fire safe.
We also discovered fire doors that were difficult to open, fire doors that didn't close, and fire escapes littered with broken glass. It's not just limited to this hotel, which visited 6 hotels across the country and found problems with 5 of them. Things like faulty electric heaters, fire doors left propped open, fire extinguishers that are well overdue for an inspection, and some that are missing altogether. And it's not just fire protections that are at fault. With some hotels, it's a problem with the very fabric of the buildings themselves. The inferno at Grenfell Tower was a 21st century tragedy, a scandal that opened the country's eyes to the latent threat that's cladding our homes. Thousands are facing urgent repairs to bring their homes up to standard, so you'd think that hotels would have to do the same. But they don't. This is the cladding that was on Grenfell Tower, highly combustible and now banned on residential buildings over 18 metres tall. But this stuff is still in place on high-rise hotels across the country, and as a consumer, there's just no way of knowing which are affected. Fire services don't make that information public for fear of arson attacks. Scarier still, they're not sure they've identified every hotel that still has this cladding. For all its faults, the International uses granite cladding, which doesn't have the same issues. The reason hotels get away with letting guests stay in rooms with this cladding? A special exception for hotels. The argument goes that unlike a block of flats, the reception staff are always there to keep a lookout for fires and to manage evacuation.
But unlike a block of flats, people don't necessarily know where the exits are. They're more likely to not speak English. They're more likely to, quite frankly, be a little bit drunk.
That's especially important in a place like this, with a maze of confusing corridors and no natural light.
So imagine the fire alarm started, it's the middle of the night, you don't know what to do. You look around, you find a fire exit. You push through, you come in, you go down the stairs. Oh no, there's a fire down here. You turn around, and the door has locked behind you, trapping you in the section with the fire. It's terrible design.
To get to the bottom of this, I spoke to Arnold Tarling, a chartered surveyor and fire safety expert who's been helping our investigation.
Many of the hotels, particularly the more cheaper hotels, are very poorly looked after in regards to fire safety. The International was one of the worst that I've been in. Doors which you can't open, doors that lock behind you, routes which are blocked. It's a rabbit warren. There are too many traps and dead ends. What needs to happen majorly is a change in mindset by the people running the hotels. Keep rolling the dice, and one day you will have multiple fatalities on your heads. Get it right now.
So, why are there so many problems with hotels? Until 2006, businesses had to apply for a fire safety certificate from their local fire service in order to operate. But since then, the responsibility has been down to the owner to perform a fire risk assessment instead. And while fire services do perform audits of hotels and hostels, these have halved in the last decade. In the case of the International, the London Fire Brigade visited in September 2021 and said, while it was broadly compliant, there were issues that they advised Britannia to rectify. After we visited with Arnold the following February, we reported the issues he'd found. The fire brigade inspected again, and they handed them an enforcement notice demanding they fix their problems. Britannia told us in March that they'd already investigated and addressed the problems that we flagged, and yet, judging from my visit 2 months later, they've barely addressed any of the dangers and have potentially added some more. It's also interesting to note that some of the problems we found would almost certainly have been in place when the fire brigade inspected last year. So did the fire brigade miss them, or did Britannia ignore their advice?
Fire brigades do have the power to temporarily shut down a business like a hotel if they've not followed the rules. But it's far more usual for them to give an informal warning.
One of the problems with the fire brigades in this country is they don't like enforcing, they don't like fining. They've got to get tougher. They've got to have the right to fine people. They've got to impose the fines. They need better teeth.
We put the extra findings from my visit to Britannia, but this time they didn't respond. London Fire Brigade told us that since the introduction of Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order 2005, we have successfully secured 80 prosecutions, including against hoteliers and landlords, which has led to some custodial sentences. We've also given thousands of enforcement and prohibition notices where serious breaches have been found. The brigade takes its role in fire safety very seriously and does not hesitate to take the appropriate action required to help keep Londoners and visitors safe. So what can you do to keep yourself safe when travelling? Take 2 minutes to familiarise yourself with the escape route from your room. That map on the door is there for a reason. Check fire doors. If they're left open or won't close, report them to the front desk. If you don't feel that you're being listened to, then make sure to contact the head office. When travelling abroad, ask about smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, or bring your own portable alarm.
Okay, so it's the next day. I have not had a good night's sleep. It's difficult to sleep well when you're in a building that you know is not up to standards. Now, luckily in the UK, fires in hotels are rare, but they're not unheard of. Just last month, a hotel in Aberdeen was razed to the ground.
Thankfully no one was hurt, as the hotel was able to evacuate effectively, but other incidents may not play out in quite the same way.